In Unit 4 we will be looking at research philosophies and research approaches. We will be looking at the role of research philosophies in underpinning research, and then looking at an appropriate research philosophy which you can use to underpin your own research. And then finally we'll be looking at research approaches, and we'll be looking to apply research approaches to your own research proposal. The objective for this session is to understand what research philosophy is and how it impacts research. So research philosophy. The research philosophy you will adopt contains important assumptions about the way in which you view the world. Research philosophy describes the philosophical assumptions which underpin a given piece of research. Therefore, when it comes to designing your research, you need to pick a research philosophy appropriate for your research. And understanding your philosophy is crucial to designing your research. Your research should be dictated by the philosophical assumptions within your research questions, and ideally your own philosophical position regarding reality and knowledge creation. The impact of research philosophy and research questions on research. If your research questions already have assumptions about the world and how it can be researched, the research philosophy you adopt should match this. And if a research philosophy does not match the assumptions within your research questions, you will have a mismatch. Now, you might also have personal assumptions about the world and how it can be researched. And your research questions should also match this if you have deep-seated beliefs and assumptions about the world. So following on from this, how you collect and analyse data should match these assumptions about the world and how the world can be researched within your own research questions. So, when we're talking about the assumptions within research regarding the world, we can highlight these assumptions within two key terms. These are ontology and epistemology. Now, ontology is concerned with the nature of the social world and what can be known about it. So there are two opposing views within ontology. One is that there is one reality and there is one answer, whereas the opposing view is there are multiple different realities and different people experience different realities and might have different answers. Now, for epistemology is concerned with the nature of knowledge and how it can be acquired. And again, there are two opposing views here. The first is that the nature of knowledge and how it should be acquired is through objective facts and figures. However, on the other hand, there is a view that good knowledge and how it can be acquired should be through subjective opinions, views, and beliefs. Now, there is a link between ontology and epistemology. Often, a researcher who assumes there is one reality seeks objective facts to determine that reality, because they believe that facts can be truly objective because there is only one reality. However, often a researcher who assumes there are multiple realities in the world and multiple answers seeks subjective opinions, views and beliefs to look for the different realities within the world. So, let's look at some ontological assumptions within research questions. If you believe there is one reality, you might be trying to assess how Y impacts X, because you'll assume that Y always impacts X in the same way. Or is there a difference in Y based on X? Because again, depending on X, there will always be a difference in Y. Or you might be interested in what happens when Y is done, because you're assuming, again, the same thing will always happen when Y is done. If you have an ontological assumption that there are multiple realities, your questions within your research are more likely to focus on what are people's views? How do different people understand something? Or how do people find an experience? Because you don't believe that people will always have the same views or experience or understanding. So when we're looking at epistemological assumptions within research questions, if you want objective facts and figures, you're likely to want numbers. And these might come from experiments or tests. And this will often lead to statistical data or questions seeking to quantify data. Whereas if you're looking for subjective opinions, views and beliefs, exploring opinions, views and beliefs through discussion or observation would be appropriate. And this often leads to interviews where you can not only ask people what is your view or belief, but you can have a discussion of it to get a wider understanding. Or you could have a group discussion in a focus group, or you could observe people to get an understanding of their views, opinions or beliefs. And what's really important is you're interested in what the actual respondent or the interviewee has to say, not just trying to quantify it into a category, but listening to what they have to say. So, the conclusions for this session. All research is underpinning philosophical assumptions about the world and what constitutes good knowledge, and therefore what constitutes good research. It is important to be aware of the assumptions within your own research, because naturally all research has these assumptions, and we need to make sure this links with the philosophy you're proposing to underpin your research. Because a research philosophy should be adopted which matches the assumptions within your own research questions.